You can't do press releases to get crew over there. You can't do social media runs, posters. You have to do word of mouth. You have to send people to bars and restaurants and grocery stores to even recruit the people you need. Filming in a different country is just a whole new world. Everything I knew about production went out the window.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Championship Leadership Podcast. We got Jonathan Perry here with us from Ohio. Thanks for being here, Jonathan.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Championship Leadership is the name of the podcast. What comes to mind for you, or what does championship leadership mean to you when you hear that?
Well, when I hear championship leadership, I probably think like a champion leader is probably someone who can manifest their vision within the mindset of others, to which in doing so creates various creative perspectives. From those perspectives, you can multiply the possibilities and create something unique that is powered by then a well-rounded vision.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm excited to hear a little bit about your vision, because I know a little bit about what you're up to and what you're doing. And especially for someone, I think we were talking before, you're 21, but you've been doing a lot of really, really cool, exciting things. When I was 21, I was not doing those things. I was in a different phase in life. So, so I'm excited to hear about it. But why don't you tell the listener right now, a little bit about who you are and the path that you have been on, and maybe how you got there and what it is that you're up to today.
Yes. So I'm a filmmaker out of Ohio, 21. I just transferred into Ohio State, so I'm still in my college years. But with that, I definitely haven't taken the student film route. I've delved into the film studies end with my university studies, but on the back end out of school, I've been doing my larger productions. At 16, I went up north in Michigan and shot a short film that was on the ice in the Arctic environment, and Amazon picked up that.
Wow.
For a 16-year-old to do kind of stunts on the ice, have a stunts team, and put divers under the water was definitely a large learning curve. But it kicked off the larger productions that I wanted to do, because I really wanted to bring that scale up immediately. With that, I then did Crookery during COVID, and that was over in Ohio. We had about 50 people in a house. I mean, during COVID, that's quite a feat because you have everything shut down. So luckily, we were able to get all the best people in the state to work on the film because they're not working on anything else. But then you also have to consider the government regulations and such. So luckily, we didn't have any cases of COVID from that. And that's a big thing to manage with something you can't see. But
No doubt.
then after that, we sent Crookery through the film festival circuit. We actually just released that on YouTube through Moybridge, which is a production company I founded a year back. And that film covers a home intrusion and the drama that ensues. So we had police involved, real police officers, and at that point in my career, I was also dealing with like prop guns and how these things work, and especially a larger crew in production and post. And then after that, I spent, I think, a year in California, then wrote and direct game trailers, still doing so, remotely out of Ohio. And that's super fun because it's basically high-packed action, and you are dealing with explosions, weapons, all these things, but pretty fast-paced stuff. And then recently, I went off and embarked on filming Sentinelese, which has been in the works since Crookery. It is the first live-action film about North Sentinel Island. I've had challenges with productions in the past, but not research challenges. This is the first film that I've had to delve into a ton of research, almost a year's worth, if not more. And then you have the production end of just pulling it off on a Caribbean island, and also the story end. We had to construct canoes, bows, arrows, clothing, um, just everything, and find those resources on a small island, and then bring that US production format over to this island. And so that took about a crew of 70. And then at the moment, we're in post production and breezing on through to get to a release.
Very cool, man. How did you even get into that world?
Uh, um, well, I definitely don't have any family that's connected to anything in film. So I definitely found myself as more of an artistic type in school, but then I also went through the scouts and stuff, so Eagle Scout and all that,
Huh?
and I really couldn't help but kind of lead some sort of crew in a way. And I found kind of my niche in film to where it embodies pretty much everything. I mean, you think about it like law, you got certain contracts involved, you got it just basically bringing to life something from the scripts, costumes, makeup. Uh, I mean, everything that goes into a living, breathing thing, you have to recreate. So that just really fascinated me. And yeah, yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's great. I love it. Was it the first project you talked about when you were 16? It sounds like it was a pretty large production.
That one, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Subnivian. So we filmed that on an iced over pond. I wanted to do the major biomes with my first films, and I'm still kind of in that phase about to transition into a larger feature. But I wanted to cover the Arctic environment in the snowy conditions, the indoor environment, which is a little bit easier, but you still have certain challenges. And then you have the Caribbean environment in the desert or the water environment. I mean, with technology, everything can go wrong. Just a grain of sand getting in the wrong place can
yeah,
have it. But then with each one of those, you have major safety concerns, which has been the large part of our production structure because, yeah, when you have people on ponds, they may fall through. And we had emergency situations like that. But luckily we were prepared. And then, yeah, divers going under. And then, yeah, with crookery, you have COVID. That was our major one. Um,
yeah,
and then Sentinelese had a lot more. I mean, filming in a different country is just a whole new world. Everything I knew about production went out the window.
yeah.
You can't do press releases to get crew over there. You can't do social media runs, posters. You have to do word of mouth. You have to send people to bars and restaurants and grocery stores to even recruit the people you need. And uh, just, of course, then we had to rebuild, find the engineers to rebuild everything. And we found our vessel on the island, which is a 102-foot vessel uh, that, of course, then you need a crew to manage that as well. And I mean, multiple boats. For some shots, we had a speedboat following with a drone, and then you have to line up the larger ship with the island. And then you're also talking about transforming this entire 102-foot vessel into a poaching vessel that we we did. So bringing literally all the fishing equipment from around that island to in cargo trucks up to the dock and loading them on and such. And yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so, well, I guess this kind of goes into the next question a little bit, but how did you learn how to do all of this? Is this something that you just kind of learn as you go, which I'm sure there's a big part of that, but are there some people that really helped you throughout the way? Like, some leaders, coaches, mentors that you've had, and it's always kind of less about who they are, but more so about like, what is it about some of maybe these people that have helped you to take so much on and these incredible projects in such a short time at such a young age, right? Like, what are some of the characteristics that have stood out to you from some of the people that have guided you or impacted you?
Um, well, usually, I think with every production, anyone who I've really looked to for solid guidance that would be higher up than me has pretty much said you're going to get people killed, and that becomes our main objective to make sure everyone's safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are going through something very risky, but and mostly our crew is made up of excellent individuals. I mean, even on this island, you may not find film crew, but you'll find seamstresses that can become costume designers. You can find beauty salons that can become makeup artists. You can find and transform these people into their skill sets, and each of them can lead their own department and also teach me things along the way.
Yeah.
So I've been fortunate enough to have some very experienced people like pull me aside and be like, okay, this is just how our lighting works, and this is what we can do. And but other than that, most situations, it's just a matter of learning it on the spot.
Yeah.
Especially, yeah, on the island we had a lot of that.
Yeah, I
So
bet. Yeah. And what was the main storyline behind that movie?
yes, so
Okay.
Sentinelese covers a Thai poaching ship that runs aground on North Sentinel Island, in the drama that ensues there. So we're talking about a tribe that's uncontacted, mostly. We had to do research with the anthropologists that actually have led every friendly expedition to the island, but that is limited. And I mean, there have been people that have gone up there and been killed, and there's poaching around those areas, but that is a very hostile tribe that's disconnected from the world for thousands of years. And so much so where the anthropologists don't even know some things about them, like their language. And of so then we had to really dive into the research of firsthand accounts and what they've seen, what they've witnessed, archival things from the museums over there. And that just covers the Sentinelese end, to which it probably took half a year to get in contact with people and then another year to do the research. And that was like sending letters to just addresses in India, or
Yeah.
making phone calls, or uh, just every which way, which uh, at first didn't work out, but then we found our way there. And then you have the Thai poaching end. So you're dealing with uh, things that are going on in modern day over there, where the poachers, at least Thai poachers, are basically taking Burmese slaves from Myanmar and other nations and taking them on these vessels, and it's pretty much modern day slavery. I mean, they're starving them. I had to. I spoke with Thai poaching informants that were former Thai poachers, and they showed me videos of people being shot. Just it's brutal over there what happens in international waters, and it's surreal that it's happening still today. And so they those are the type of people that would actually enter into these restricted waters. And so I wanted to cover this story based on facts, but the fictional scenario of this specific ship going into the running aground on the island. So yeah, definitely a lot of research behind that.
Love it, man. Yeah, I can imagine. What where do you come up with the ideas for these projects?
Um, with this one, I just went down a rabbit hole, and I wanted to get. The thing is, there's no close-up footage, and luckily so. I don't think anyone should get up close to the tribe, and hopefully not. There's no real quality footage of what this tribe looks like, acts like. Now there is archival footage and such, but of course it's blurry. I wanted to get up close to this tribe and really let the public see who they are and how they act. I mean, they do have families on the island, family structures, and a way of life that, of course, is different than ours, but seen up close is just surreal to kind of see that human connection.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really the goal of the film, is just to, like, we had to model their genetics with hair and makeup, certain hair types and such. And of course, we leveled the beach and had to recreate their beach environment from the island. And yeah, and right now of course, we rebuilt all the canoes to scale, 20-foot outrigger canoes, working. And I mean, they're so primitive that they use, instead of paddles, they use punt poles to push off the coral. So that
Yeah.
kind of limits them to the coral reef around the
Gotcha.
island.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
So you did have some interaction with them?
Not the Sentinelese themselves, of course,
No.
but
Yeah.
the anthropologists that have had interaction with them, that have planted trees on the island, that have gone up to the island, that I've had crews shot at from the island.
Okay.
Um, but
Okay.
yeah, yeah, that's through
Yeah.
the
Very
Indian
cool.
government.
So what yeah, you kind of started off talking about vision a bit. So what is the vision for you? I think championship leaders have incredible vision, and they, have actually a courage to take action too, because there's a lot of people that will look at you and what it is that you're doing and all the big great things that you're up to, and think you're kind of nuts sometimes for doing it, right? But that's championship leaders. They have that type of a vision, and they have the courage to take action. What's the vision for you that you want to accomplish as you continue to move forward in your career, and what's the impact that you're looking to make through that?
Well, throughout my career, I definitely look to also get into the technologies of the film industry. I'd like to see the trajectory of where things are going with whether it be streaming or different theater formats, or what that will look like in 50 years for us viewing the content that I would actually make. So that's something I definitely, in the long run, will be a part of.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, yeah. I mean, through having the vision, it's really nothing unless you can get the people to actually execute it with you and provide their own expertise as well. So definitely not being stubborn, like this is my way kind of thing. I've definitely had the best ideas come from different departments, whether it be knowledge bases they've had from other productions and such. So being open to shared knowledge is definitely important.
Ultimately, like where do you see yourself going? Like, do you want to be big time, like movie production in the theaters every weekend, or
Yeah, yeah.
what do you,
Um,
yeah, is that the goal?
Yeah, yeah, I would say
Yeah.
so. Of course, Sentinelese will go through film festivals, but I do like, and even the larger filmmakers, they have similar struggles as well, but not in, they have a lot more access to certain things a lot faster. But there are films out there that are really pushing the boundaries, and that's something that I want to do, and just keep on pushing
Yeah.
and see how far it can go. But it just fascinates me to make it as large scale as possible. Like, I can't
Yeah.
really help myself to have two people sitting down at a table talking. Somehow it always turns into just a grand scheme of just action packed, or as big as I can make it. I think Crookery was supposed to be like 3 minutes, and then it became like 4 to 7, then 9, 10. And as a short film, yeah, yeah. And then we filmed that in like 2.5 days, which is really fast.
Yeah.
Like 12-hour days of just scene after scene. And everything had to go perfectly because you have such a tight schedule. Uh, and so, yeah, 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 that's larger scale is definitely my format here.
Very cool. Yeah. Do you continue to kind of stack on top of each other each project you go move from, to make it a little bit bigger and a little bit more of a production?
Yes. The thing is, I was looking at the Sentinelese thing, and I was like, there's no way. I mean, you know, I knew in the back of my mind it could definitely be done, but I was like, the odds of everything coming together, the research and stuff, people getting back to me, they were definitely slim. But I am glad that we're the first ones, actually, because I hope that at least, if someone else accompanies the island in their story, I want it to be accurate and actually portray the tribe correctly, because you also don't want people going over there. So each film has definitely been way larger than the next, which is scary because I'm trying to figure out how much bigger I can get.
Yeah,
um,
right. Absolutely.
which
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm in the process of renting a train for my next
Yeah.
one.
I was just
Uh,
gonna say, so what is next?
a feature film, uh, possibly with a train. I
Okay.
That's about as much as I can say.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Very cool. Like in a city or like out in the country somewhere or what?
Probably somewhere in Ohio. I think that I want to just show where my roots are a little bit too
Yeah.
with this
Okay.
film.
Yeah.
So, but
Very
of course,
cool.
everything you could go the CGI route and model a bunch of things, and
Yeah.
there's success and failures with that. But then you could go the practical route, which of course logistically can be harder, but in the end, post production, which we're in, it's definitely easier because we don't have to 3D model a giant ship. We had the giant ship and
Yeah. Right.
set sail. So that's the route I also want to go, is mostly practical for my
Okay.
productions.
Yeah. Love it. So how many productions could you have going on at one time? Is it usually a one project deal at a time, I would imagine, or
Well, I can,
different phases for different projects, probably?
yeah, usually two.
Okay.
So of course I got my mini stories with my current work, writing trailers. And that's like weekly being able to have an unlimited budget in a video game and having CGI kind of put together your vision. But then um, right now, I definitely wouldn't be like writing. I could write multiple films at once, but I couldn't write and go through the production phase. So it's different phases. For instance, in post, I can write my next one, but um, I definitely couldn't have like two productions at once and be quality. So I think that's also the route I'm taking, is more or less quality over quantity. Some people are just out there shooting and shooting, but I mean, yeah, we do everything in our power to get it right.
So how common is it for you to like so you write your own productions from what I'm hearing you say, like is there a point where you're, because there's other people that are out there writing stories, right? And where you would take those on. Is that something that you're open to, or is it something where you're always going to be
Um,
doing your own
I if
story?
I I've been approached to do some things, but unless I have like a good connection to it, I know that you enter production phase and things start to hit the fan, and you want to make sure that the vision you went in with is the vision you go out with,
Yeah.
at least the one that you're confident if it does change. But yeah, I mean, I'm open to that as long as I have a connection to it
Yeah.
uh,
Makes
and
sense.
can harness that.
Very cool. I love it. So you are in school though, in fact, you said, right?
Yeah, so I'm studying the history of cinema. So
Okay.
film studies, we're at OSU, Ohio State. Uh, but yeah, after high school, I took a gap year and did some traveling and did work. And but then I transferred a good bit around to other colleges and finally landed at Ohio State, where I'm from, which really is the best fit for me. So
Sure.
uh, that's great. But of course, my entire crew is just international, so I'm out of pretty much every time zone, whether it
Yeah.
be with designers or VFX and stuff like that.
Man, I got to imagine with all the everything that you've already done, like all the experience that you already have, like you've done more than um I can imagine almost any professor that you would run across out there. Like, what's the drive for you to stay in school, considering everything that you've already accomplished and all the things that you're already up to?
Um, yeah, I definitely, it gets really weird when I look at film production students
Yeah.
because, you know, I found that on these productions, what's really weird is uh, the experienced crew that have been in the unions and industry are like, just don't hire college students. They don't know the pressures of set. That's a huge thing. It's just the pressure, the quickness and stuff. And so, they may not know how to set up certain equipment. And so it's very weird that for some schools that people go to that to learn the production, but then I mean, I've been on the other end of it up hiring where I just can't hire that type of person. But I'm really fascinated with the history of cinema. I
Gotcha.
don't know how much benefit, I mean, other than I, referencing it from my own productions and seeing how past people have struggled in the kind of history of cinema, of actually building the theaters we have today and the cameras and stuff. That's very interesting to me, to see how the entrepreneurs back then did it. But yeah, it's definitely odd. But um, I mean, I've guest spoke at a few colleges and stuff,
Yeah, I bet.
which is
Yeah.
odd. uh,
Yeah, I'm sure you have. Yeah. Not surprised. That's kind of why I asked. I mean, you have a lot of experience already. And but anyway, I was just curious to hear that. As we start to wrap this up, like if what what is, one or two things that you could take maybe from the experiences that you've had for the listener right now, that's an entrepreneur or a business owner, in a completely different field than what you're doing. I know there's still some great lessons or principles that you've picked up on that you have through what you've done that would be useful to others, that if they applied today would help them move their life forward today. What would that be?
I think that a format of kind of building a production, I've heard also other entrepreneurs with their companies have done, is really just that scaled down logistics of asking 1,000 people, and then 200 of them say maybe, and then you get 100 that say yes, and then out of those 100, 50 of them are qualified, and out of those 50, um, actually 20 of them see your vision, and then out of those 20, you connect with 10 of them, and
Yeah.
they're actually hireable. So, or same goes for opportunities like reaching out to whether it be investors or certain aspects of film. But I think that's where a lot of, whether it be film students or film production people, don't really put in the work, is just, yeah, you might have a very specific vision and thing you can maybe give to, whether it be employees for their benefits, or let's say you have a certain price point, and it doesn't fit with usually the industry standard, or a someone will say yes to that as long as you ask enough people, really, and someone experienced will as well. um, and it's just also, that's a benefit to networking. It just has a ton of benefits because you're also connecting with hundreds of people, and you might get led in a different direction as well, so
Yeah.
that's more positive for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Jonathan, what would be the best way for the listener to, find out more about your films and what you're up to? Is there a main place that we could send them?
Yes, so we have social media that just got up and running for Sentinelese. It's Sentinelese Film on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Okay.
And I'm over on Instagram at Jonathan Perry Films. Um, and of course, we now have Crookery streaming on YouTube through Moybridge. And yeah, that's my last short film.
Okay.
Uh, so they can go watch that. And then we also have details releasing on our social media of whether it be progress with post production or behind the scenes things. I mean, one major thing that's probably weird to see is because I also did this entire island production with a broken kneecap.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I arrived on the island in like a wheelchair,
Oh, no.
and then I was walking by the end of it. But
Okay.
that definitely added a very large level of pain
Oh, man.
to
And
things.
stress probably too. Yeah.
Um, yeah, well, the stress actually takes away the kind of physical
The,
pain.
the pain.
So that's when I
Yeah.
knew it was
I
like
bet.
really stressful, because I was,
Yeah, absolutely.
uh,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Well,
that's yeah.
awesome. Well, we'll get you, yeah, we'll make sure that we link all those up so we can get out there and check those out. I'll definitely going to be checking those out. And appreciate your time here so much. If as you're listening right now, if you love this episode, you love this content, please go check out Jonathan and those links. And also stay right here. Don't go anywhere for the next episode. Appreciate you. And thank you so much, Jonathan, today for taking some time.
Thank you for having me again.